Hello, Mr. Christensen. Today I will be talking about how cheating in sports has an impact on much more than sports itself. The reason I wanted to do cheating in sports is because one of the biggest cheating scandals was from the Houston Astros baseball team. They were accused of stealing signs, with a camera that they had hid in center field and could not be seen by the visiting team. This camera allowed them to see the signs that the other team was calling, and then would relay it back to the players, who would then relay it to the people that were hitting. This gave them a huge advantage when playing at home. When you look at their stats in 2016 and compared to 2017, they were tremendously different. They went from one of the worst teams in baseball to winning the World Series the very next year. Now, of course, no one thought about it because the Astros had a very young and talented team, and they just thought, all right, this is their year. No one knew about it until one of the former players of the Astros that was traded to a different team said that they were using a hidden camera in center field to steal signs. That is when the investigation started, and they ultimately found that the Astros had cheated the year that they won the World Series in 2017. So that means that they had used the sign stealing method for 3 years because the investigation didn't start until 2019. And within those 3 years, from 2017, 2018, and 2019, they went to the World Series twice and made it to the ALCS, which is also the American League Championship Series, one of those years. They also would have made it to the World Series if it wasn't for the Red Sox, who will also be investigated as well because their manager, Alex Cora, was involved with the Astros during this time, the time that they were stealing the signs. When they were investigated for sign stealing, they were only investigated when playing at home, because it would be very hard for them to sneak a camera into center field while playing away at someone else's field. So they were mainly investigated when playing at home. They looked at their certain stats, their hitting stats, pitching stats, outcome of games, certain teams that they were playing throughout the year, if they used the certain tactic more for one team than they did another team, such as, for example, is what the investigation was about. But this scandal didn't have, it wasn't just an impact on the game, it was on the players. If you looked at the reactions from the players throughout the league, it was discussed. And there was one player that it had the biggest effect on, was a Toronto Blue Jays pitcher. I don't remember his name. But he pitched against the Astros, and the Astros used that technique to steal the signs, and they did so well against him that he was ultimately, fired. He was let go from the team, never made it back to the big leagues, and wasn't even paid. So he lost his job because of this cheating scandal, and it changed someone's life because one team wanted to have an advantage over everyone else. But this will not be the only topic of cheating I will be talking about during this video. Another way for athletes to cheat is using performance-enhancing drugs. These drugs or steroids give athletes an edge to be more explosive, recover faster, certain things like that. Two of the top steroid users that come to my mind are Alex Rodriguez and Barry Bonds. Both of these athletes played professional baseball and both had outstanding careers. But because of the steroid use, it ultimately led them to the end of their careers, and it took away their chance of being in the Hall of Fame because of it. Now, don't get me wrong, there are a lot of players out there that use steroids, and that's not only in baseball, that's in any sport that you can look at. And they had their impact, but the Barry Bonds and Alex Rodriguez were some of the biggest scandals ever. Barry Bonds used steroids to help him achieve something that had never been done before, and that was hit 762 home runs, which is an insane amount. That is possibly a milestone that will never be achieved again because of it. So now, since he used the steroids, he won't get into the Hall of Fame. And Alex Rodriguez is one of the most hated baseball players ever because of his use of steroids. He played for the Yankees, which obviously didn't make it any better because the Yankees are one of the most hated teams in baseball. But it just put a bigger target on his back. And his punishment for getting caught using the drugs when he was tested, he was suspended for an entire year. But, performance-enhancing drugs aren't only used in baseball, like I said. And as I said earlier, they're used for, more explosive and recovery faster. So a lot of weightlifting athletes use it to help them recover faster. Not necessarily make them stronger, but it's to help them recover so they can lift more, One of the biggest scandals was Russia during the 2014 Winter Olympics. They used tampered urine samples during the drug testing, which hid hundreds of competitors coming from Russia that were using steroids. It had a huge impact on that community alone, and a lot of them were punished because of it. But another way that someone can use cheating to their advantage is bribery. And bribery is defined as offering to pay, paying, or promising to pay an official in order to influence any act or decision to give yourself an advantage. When someone uses bribery, they lose the integrity of the game. And that, there's a lot of different back in the day teams that used bribery that were punished because of it, such as a baseball team that they bribed the umpire to, get everything go their way. And they were caught and they were suspended and banned from baseball forever. And they will never make it into the Hall of Fame. And I know the main thing that I focused on in this project was the Astros and their scandal, but that also led me to many different types of scandals, such as the other ones that I listed. It has been a great year so far. I hope you have a great summer, and thank you for a great year.